Disney Plus Star Wars shows, man. I don't know how you necessarily have felt about the Disney Plus Star Wars shows. For me, they've been more miss than hit. I would
Hmm.
say I really loved Andor. I thought Andor was the best of them. I like Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. That's kind of where it ends. I thought Ahsoka was fine. Obi-Wan disappointed me greatly. Mandalorian season 3 was kind of a disappointment, and I really disliked Book of Boba Fett. So
Hmm.
they have not been on the hottest track record. So when the Acolyte was coming out, they were talking about going back hundreds of years, visiting the Jedi, visiting the Sith, doing a murder mystery angle to it. I was intrigued. I was like, okay, that's interesting. That sounds like something different for Star Wars. That sounds new. But when the trailers were coming out, I just couldn't get excited just because of what had come in the past. It just wasn't there for me. But now the Acolyte has premiered its first 2 episodes on Disney Plus. And I'm actually going to I want to pull up this article from Forbes. They wrote a little review on the first 2 episodes. And I'm going to pull them up real quickly because I feel like what they say here is kind of a reflection of how I felt while watching the whole first 2 episodes myself. They say the show itself is certainly a step up in quality from Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett, but wouldn't call it great. Though I'm only 2 episodes in, it could go either way. I like that you don't need to have as much knowledge of previous animated shows like you did in Ahsoka, though overall I'd probably put this series about on the same level as that show. It's fine, leagues better than the third season of Mandalorian, but not as good as the first 2 seasons of Mando, and certainly nowhere near as impressive or compelling as Andor. Though there is a lot more Jedi fighting, and Jedi fighting is pretty fun. So
Agreed.
that comes to us from Forbes, and that's kind of how I would feel about the show too. I think it's fine. I
Yeah.
haven't really found the hook yet. The mystery that they're setting up with this Jedi murderer. It's not even really a mystery of the Jedi murderer. It's more a mystery of the Jedi murderer's connection to our lead character, which isn't really that intriguing to me, if I'm being
Hmm.
honest with you. And I think a big reason for that is I I'm not finding the characters very strong so far. Now, granted,
Hmm.
we're only 2 episodes in. We're being introduced to these characters. We're gonna learn more about them along the way, but I will say I'm an hour into the show now. I've had a full hour with these characters, and I really don't feel any attachments yet. I don't feel, what I felt when I was watching the show, and this isn't necessarily a knock on the actors, but when I was watching the show, and I felt this a little bit with other Star Wars Disney Plus shows as well. I harkened back to there's an interview with I believe it's Mark Hamill talking for Harrison Ford where they're talking about the dialogue that George Lucas wrote. And allegedly, Harrison Ford said to George Lucas, "You can write this stuff, Lucas, but you can't say this stuff."
Yeah.
I I don't feel like the actors are pulling off the dialogue for me.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. But when I watch the show, I don't believe what they're saying. I don't really buy into it. There's also okay. You know what? Before I get into my disappointments and negatives, let's talk about the positives first because
Hmm.
I want to be positive. The action was great.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
action in the show I thought was really fun, really cool. It's really cool to see a hand to hand combat in Star Wars and the way that they incorporate the hand to hand combat with the Force and with the Jedi powers. It's pretty creative and pretty fun. I actually do like that. Going back to the prequel era, I like that the prequels are getting more love. I think the prequels are very flawed. I understand all the criticisms people have with the prequels. I have a lot of them with myself, but I almost enjoy that era more than any other Star Wars era. I just love the way the prequels look and the time period of that. So going back to that time period, I thought was a lot of fun. They made sure to course correct those Trade Federation guys, though. Like the
Yeah.
minute, the minute those Trade Federation guys started talking, I was like, "Oh, you guys fixed this. You
Hmm.
guys 2024 this. Good job, guys. You fixed it."
Good
Um,
retcon. Yeah.
and while the characters aren't really capturing me just yet, I am liking Saul, the
Oh,
master Jedi that they have going on here.
yep. The guy from
There's
the Squid Games. Yep.
yes,
Hmm.
him. I think he's doing the best job so far, in my opinion. He is the one that's kind of make me want to keep watching the show, to be honest with you. But
Hmm.
before we get deeper into it, Ace, give us your overall thoughts. What did you think about the first 2 episodes of Acolyte? How's it hitting you so far?
Yeah. I'm sold. I actually stayed away from trailers because, like you had said, Star Wars with it's kind of hit or miss. In general, I like The Mandalorian first, season 1 and 2. I don't think it is. I don't think I've ever met anybody that didn't like that move, those shows. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they run really well with the dynamic of Grogu and Mando, stuff like that. Um, I liked Obi-Wan. I thought it was solid. I didn't see Andor because I just wasn't interested. This
Mm.
right here, to me, plain and simple, with me personally, I want my Star Wars to have Jedi. I know that seems like it's kind of like but I actually like the Rogue One movie, but my Star Wars to me have to have Jedi in it. That's what interests me. And to
Right.
see a different dynamic, like you were talking about with the hand-to-hand combat from the Jedi, was actually a fresh take on that, because it's not just about pulling out a lightsaber and showing what you can do with that. And the one thing that I will say that Disney does, with a lot of people don't like the Disney shows, but I think they're going into new territory that we have not get to see from the movies. Like even the sequels, you know what I'm saying? Just show me something new. Like I was talking about with the Venom movie, show me something creative. Like when we saw Kylo Ren stop the blast, we have yet to see that on screen. When we saw Darth Vader pull down that carrier, we have yet to see that. Luke go off. In this movie, we have yet to see hand to hand, really just fisticuffs with the Jedi. And I like that. What's the girl's name? Her name is Amanda Steinberg. I like her. I think she's doing a very well job without any
That's our
spoilers.
lead character?
Yeah, that's the lead character. That's the girl that's playing. Her name is Ray in the casting. Her name is May in the casting. May. I'm liking what she's doing so far in the role that she's in, but also Saul as well. Like you said, the guy from the Squid Games, he's phenomenal. And then you have Daphne King doing well. Daphne King right now is, the girl, kind of Disney's darling, how she's supposed to be in Deadpool and Wolverine, how she's kind of in this, heavily makeup, so you might miss her if you're really not paying attention.
Yeah.
But I'm sold on this based on the 2 episodes. I think what I was talking about earlier, it's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty much, we know what we're getting. We know what the problem is, and it's just about getting to that problem. But they're also setting up dynamics to be able to switch. You can tell that certain things and certain perspectives are going to come out differently at the ending than they are at the beginning. So I think it's very well done, and I'm enjoying it so far, and I actually can't wait to see what direction they go in. How many episodes is it? 8?
I think it's supposed to be 8.
Okay, so they dropped
So we
the
have
first
6
2.
more to go.
They dropped the first 2, and I thought that
Yeah.
where they left the second one off, I think I kind of would have been a little bit disappointed if it didn't come to that conclusion. I don't want it, without giving away any spoilers and stuff like
Right.
that. Like if they would have prolonged it, I think I kind of would have been like, okay, a little bit annoyed. But they got to it. It was a little bit predictable, but I'm okay with things being predictable as long as it's executed right. Because if you don't stick the landing, you're not going to sell me. But I like the action sequences, like you said. The visuals look good as well. The actors, I could kind of agree with what you're saying as far as it's only 2 episodes in. It's hard to really be emotionally connected to them, especially with the side characters like the Jedi apprentices, the Padawans. But I think maybe in time we'll be connected with them.
I hope so. I do. I mean, I always get a little bit worried because, you're already 2 episodes in,
Mhm.
and we're learning about these people for sure. But I feel like in some ways it's very quick. I feel the episodes go. First of all, this is a problem with a lot of Disney Plus shows, not just Star Wars. Marvel does it too. They're too short. These episodes are too short. They say it's 42 minutes and then they give you 26. That's not
Because
right.
it's long credits. It's
Yeah,
really long
that's
credits.
not right. That is false advertisement right there. I should sue them. No, it's they're very short. They go by really fast, and that's always an issue for me with these shows. I don't know if this is just me, but this is 100 years before the prequels that we watched.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, it takes me out that it feels more modern.
Yeah.
In some ways, I wish that they had gone just a little bit further with the development of their era, of their time period, because this almost in some ways feels more in the future than the prequels did. And it's 2024 technology, it's the way characters speak and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I wanted to be more immersed. I wanted to be more immersed into the time period, and I just didn't feel that. I felt I felt more disconnected from George Lucas's prequels to this, and not because it's set 100 years in the past, but because it feels way more modern than that movie. And maybe that's just a filmmaking movie. That's just how it is. But I will say what's starting to kind of bother me, and this is the nitpicky thing. I will say this is a nitpicky thing, and I won't give any spoilers away about it. But they cannot decide what kills people in this universe anymore.
Yeah.
You can take a lightsaber to the gut and be fine. Go chase after Luke and Tatooine the next day. But if you get stabbed by a little knife, if a little knife gets you, this a little knife.
I see. I think it's about where you're getting hit though, and obviously everybody talks about that because of Obi-Wan. You know what I'm saying? Like disappearing.
Ahsoka did it.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan did it with Reva. Ahsoka did it with that other girl in like episode 2 as well.
Yeah. Definitely inconsistent with that. I could see what you're doing as far as like with the nitpicks. I could get that. But it was definitely like the Trinity character, she was good in it as well. It's good to see her back on screen. I don't remember the last time outside of the Matrix movies, I haven't really seen her in anything. So it's good that she was into this. Obviously she's right behind you. One of the main things they're pushing for the promos, but I enjoyed it for what it was worth. I'm hooked on it. I actually can't wait to see more. They're going to definitely take their time releasing it. But with this movie, with this show, it was like one of those things where, like you said, it's quick, but it's kind of a slow paced. It was a little bit slower paced, but quick. And then all they really need to do is just stick the landing. Like that's what the Disney shows, not just Star Wars, Marvel itself, have a hard time with sticking the landing. The finales kind of just like are so anticlimactic. And it's just like, that's what ends up disappointing me at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I'll say before we move on is I do feel like it's lacking a little bit of energy, and I do hope the energy picks up in the rest of the episodes, because like I said, like Disney Plus shows, or I haven't said it yet, but like I usually say, Disney Plus shows, I don't think they do their pacing well. I don't think that they pace their shows out. I feel like they always like prolong out or drag out like the first 4 episodes of a 6-episode show, and then it's like boom, boom, we're done. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah,
like
long setup and rush to the finish. Yeah, setup and rush to the finish. The only show I feel like in Disney Plus that hasn't done that is Loki season 2, because it had the same showrunner, in my opinion. And that's what happens when you have one guy that, shout outs to I forget the main guy that wrote it, presented it all, and they made no changes. That's the beauty of just having one guy in control of everything and not a whole bunch of chefs in the kitchen. You can do that, but like you said, a lot of these times they have long setups and then they rush to the finish. The final episode, they're like rushing. You know what was really well paced? X-Men 97. They need to have stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just consistently all throughout the jump. But yeah, these Star Wars shows have a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it goes from here. I will say, so far, you're hooked. So far, you're liking it.
So do you need another episode or 2 to really say you're all in for it?
Yeah. I need to see what they got next. Yeah. I need to see because the next episode will put us about halfway through the show at that point. And I'm not there yet. I'm not I wouldn't say I'm a fan yet.
Yeah.
I would say I'm intrigued. I think there's promise with some of the ideas that they're bringing to the table, but I'm not captivated by it yet.
Yeah. Something's going to have to happen. If it's 8 episodes, because like you said, the Jedi killer, let's say without any spoilers, she's already halfway to the goal. So it's like something's going to have to happen in between now and the end to be able to prolong this for 6 more episodes. So I expect a lot of twists and turns. Like I said, change of dynamics that add to character building. And the characters, like I said, I think are okay. I think these first 2 episodes were definitely set up for the future. And I think they're on the right path, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would recommend it to people. And I just like the fact that it's so detached from the walkers. Like Kenny Sparks I was on his channel. He said this, how it's like you're not anywhere near that. So you get to tell brand new stories without having to feel like it's attached to the other Star Wars stuff. You can just enjoy it for what it's worth. And I'm all for that.
Well, thank you very much for checking out this clip from our live show that we do every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time called Zach Milne Talks Live. If you like talking movies, if you like talking movie news, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button before you leave? We do that on this channel all the time. But if you still need some time before you fully commit, you can check out the full video this clip is from right here, and you can check out another video over here. The subscribe button's right here.